Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something huge, something we all think we do well, but
Yeah.
maybe we don't. Listening. We kind of just assume, you have ears, you hear things, so you're a good listener. Done.
Right. But the source material we're looking at really challenges that idea. It suggests listening isn't automatic at all.
Exactly. So if you've ever been in a conversation and just felt totally missed, or, if you feel like your relationships, work, home, wherever could be better, this deep dive is definitely for you. We've gone through this really comprehensive guide on listening, and our mission today is to pull out the really surprising bits of psychology, the brain science, and yeah, the practical stuff too that can help turn basic hearing into like a real skill, a habit even.
Yeah, a transformative habit. The sources are pretty clear. The secret to better relationships often isn't about talking more or smarter. It's about truly learning to listen. It's framed as this often overlooked, silent skill. But the impact, it's huge, incalculable, really. We talk so much about communicating, but the authors argue that the actual quality of a relationship boils down to the quality of the listening within it.
Okay, let's dig into that right away.
Yeah.
Because we do tend to use hearing and listening like they're the same thing. The source says that's kind of the first hurdle. So what's the big difference we need to get?
Oh, it's massive. Hearing, well, that's just biological. It's passive. Sound waves hit your eardrum. It happens whether you want it to or not. The traffic outside, the fridge humming, no effort needed.
Right, automatic.
Exactly. But listening is presented as a choice, a deliberate action. It takes attention, real concentration, and crucially, an open mind, an emotional readiness almost.
Readiness. How so?
Well, you have to consciously decide to pause your own inner chatter, your own thoughts and plans, to actually make space for what the other person is experiencing or saying.
So it's a passive at all. It's active, it sounds like.
Ugh.
Work. Is it something we can realistically do all the time?
It is work, definitely. It takes energy. But the sources argue the payoff is immense. They describe authentic listening as an act of humility.
Humility. Interesting.
Yeah, because you're essentially saying non-verbally, right now, understanding you is more important than me getting my point across or thinking about my response. And that conscious presence, that's where trust starts to build.
That makes intuitive sense. But you mentioned brain science earlier. That always gets my attention. What's actually happening inside our heads when we shift from just hearing to, actively listening? Can we break that down a bit?
Absolutely. And it's pretty amazing. When you're truly listening attentively, your brain is firing on all cylinders. It's not passive reception at all. We see a lot of activity in the prefrontal cortex.
Okay, the thinking part of the brain.
Yeah.
Decision-making, right?
Exactly. Your executive function center. It's working hard to manage impulses, the impulse to interrupt, the urge for your mind to wander off, the internal prep for your next sentence. It's like the control tower keeping you on task.
So my brain's basically fighting itself to stay focused. That sounds intense.
It is. It requires cognitive resources. But here's the really cool part for connection. Mirror neurons.
Ah, I've heard of those, the empathy neurons.
That's the idea. Think of them like your brain's way of sort of mirroring or simulating the emotions of the person you're listening to. You don't just logically understand, oh, they sound sad. You might actually experience a faint echo of that sadness yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, it creates this like invisible bridge between you. It's how information becomes real connection. And we also see the amygdala lighting up that's processing the emotional weight of what's being said, and the hippocampus, which is involved in memory, but specifically like encoding the emotional context of the interaction. You're not just remembering facts, you're storing the feeling of the conversation.
So it's not just psychological. There's a real physical, chemical payoff too.
Oh, absolutely. For both people. Good, deep listening actually triggers the release of oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
Exactly. That warm, fuzzy feeling of trust and closeness. And get this, it also lowers stress hormones, things like cortisol.
Really? Just by listening well.
Yeah, and by being listened to. It engages the parasympathetic nervous system. That's your body's rest and digest or calming system. So genuinely feeling heard literally calms your body down. It helps de-escalate tension for everyone involved.
Okay, if it feels good, builds trust, and even calms us down biologically. Why are we often so bad at it? What are the common traps the source material points out?
Well, the first one is maybe the most common and kind of sneaky. Listening to respond.
Listening to respond. Meaning?
Meaning, while the other person is still talking, your brain isn't really absorbing their full message. It's already busy crafting your perfect reply, your comeback, your related story, your counter-argument. The source calls it strategic listening.
I think we all do that sometimes. Or maybe a lot of the time.
It's very common. But think about what happens. You're fundamentally splitting your attention. And the source makes a fascinating point about memory here. You end up remembering your own planned response more clearly than what the other person actually said or felt.
So you're basically prioritizing your own internal script over their reality.
Hmm.
Ouch.
Pretty much. It's a cognitive failure, not just bad manners. Then there's the obvious one, interrupting. Mistake number 2.
Yeah, we all know that one. Why do we do it, though? Even when we mean well.
Often it comes from anxiety, believe it or not. Fear of forgetting your own point, maybe. Or sometimes an unconscious need to, control the conversation's flow. But whatever the reason, the message it sends is usually, my thoughts are more important than yours finishing.
Yeah, that definitely shuts people down. It feels invalidating.
Totally. And it kills psychological safety. And the third big one is hasty judgment or just plain distraction.
Okay, explain that. Hasty judgment.
It's like mentally labeling what the person is saying while they're still saying it. Oh, that's an exaggeration. Or here we go again with the complaints. Or that's irrelevant. You shut down curiosity before they've even finished their thought.
And the distraction part. Phones, I'm guessing.
Phones are a huge one, yeah. Looking away, checking notifications, it basically signals that the device or whatever else is more important than the person right in front of you. True understanding becomes impossible then because you've already checked out.
Okay, so those are the pitfalls. Recognizing them is the first step. But how do we actually fix these habits? What are the tools, the practical techniques the guide suggests we can start using, like today?
Right, the tools. The first one is really powerful, called the paragraph technique.
The paragraph technique, okay.
So when the speaker pauses, instead of immediately jumping in with your reaction or opinion, you try to summarize the core message of what they just said, but in your own words.
Like paraphrasing back to the...
Exactly. You might say something like, okay, so if I'm getting this right, the main thing you're feeling is really overwhelmed because project A and B landed on your desk at the same time and you're not sure how to prioritize. Is that about right?
Ah, I see. So it confirms you were listening and gives them a chance to correct you if you misunderstood.
Precisely. It avoids so many downstream misunderstandings. It demonstrates you're genuinely trying to get it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the words, is it? Our bodies are talking too.
Hugely important. The source calls this listening with your eyes and heart. It's about nonverbal cues, making gentle, consistent eye contact, not staring intensely, but showing you're engaged.
And body language, like not crossing your arms.
Yeah, open posture, maybe leaning in slightly. These things send a really strong signal. I'm here, I'm available, I'm receptive. It validates the speaker before you even say anything.
Okay, what else? There's something about reflecting emotions. How is that different from the paragraph technique?
Good question. The paragraph technique is more about summarizing the content or the facts. Reflecting emotions is about tuning into and acknowledging the feeling behind the words.
So validating the emotion itself.
Yes, exactly. Even if you don't agree with their reaction or the reason for it, someone might be upset about something that seems minor to you. Instead of dismissing it, oh, don't worry about that, you reflect the feeling. Wow, that sounds really frustrating, or I can see you're really disappointed about that.
So you're saying, I hear your feeling, not necessarily I agree with your feeling.
You got it. That validation of the emotion itself can be incredibly powerful and de-escalating. People just want to feel understood on that level.
Okay, this last one sounds challenging, especially for busy people. The art of opportune silence. Silence feels awkward sometimes, doesn't it?
It really does. We often feel this pressure to fill the space immediately, but the source argues that silence isn't empty. It's actually a space you hold for the other person.
A space for what?
For them to gather their thoughts, maybe find the deeper thing they need to say, the thing that doesn't come out in the first rush of words. Sometimes the most important insight emerges in that pause after they think they're done speaking.
So resisting the urge to jump in immediately is actually a sign of respect.
A profound sign of respect, according to the source. It communicates that you value their whole thought process, not just the quick summary. You have to kind of get comfortable with that brief, quiet.
Okay, these techniques sound like they could really change personal conversations.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the workplace. How does this apply professionally? Does being a good listener actually make you better at your job or a better leader?
Oh, massively. The guide argues that leaders who really listen are way more effective. For one thing, they create psychological safety.
Psychological safety meaning people feel safe to speak up.
Exactly. Safe to share ideas, raise concerns, even admit mistakes, without fearing they'll be shut down or penalized. When people feel heard, they feel valued and safe. And think about problem solving. A leader who truly listens doesn't just hear the official updates. They pick up on the subtle cues, the hesitation in someone's voice, the minor complaint that might signal a much bigger underlying issue.
Like an early warning system.
Kind of, yeah. The source gives examples where leaders caught wind of major potential problems, like a supply chain issue, just by paying attention to a seemingly small frustration voiced by someone on the team, someone others might have ignored. Good listening can help you anticipate problems.
And innovation too, I imagine.
Absolutely. People are much more likely to share creative or unconventional ideas if they trust those ideas will be met with respect and genuine consideration, not immediate judgment. Listening fuels that innovative culture.
Makes total sense for work. Now let's bring it home. Family, partners, kids. How does this deep listening practice impact our closest relationships?
This is where the impact is perhaps most profound. The sources suggest that consistent, empathetic listening is like the bedrock of a stable, happy relationship. It dramatically reduces that knee-jerk reactivity in arguments.
Oh, so.
Because often, fights aren't even about the topic at hand, right? They're about the underlying feeling of, you're not hearing me, you don't understand. When you truly listen, you diffuse that core frustration. You rebuild emotional intimacy because feeling understood is fundamental to feeling close.
That really resonates. What about with kids? Especially younger ones who can't always articulate things well.
Crucial for kids. Their emotions can be huge and their language skills might still be developing. So listening often means tuning into their behavior, their tone, their nonverbal cues, not just their words, which might come out as, a tantrum or just frustration.
So validating the feeling, even if the behavior is tricky.
Exactly. Before you jump to correcting or problem solving, you connect with the emotion. Wow, you seem really angry right now. Or I see that you're very sad, we have to leave the park. Acknowledging the feeling first helps them feel seen, even when they can't fully explain it. You meet them where they are.
We've talked about external challenges, techniques, relationships, but the guide apparently goes deeper into our own internal landscape, the ego. Why is the ego singled out as such a big barrier to listening?
Yeah, the ego gets a whole chapter. It's positioned as maybe the ultimate barrier. Because the ego is often tied up in needing to be right, needing to win, needing to have the last word.
That constant need to defend our position.
Exactly. It often stems from insecurity, right? A fear of being wrong or looking foolish. So the ego drives us to interrupt, to correct, to formulate our argument instead of truly absorbing what the other person is saying. It sees listening, especially listening without rebuttal, as a kind of weakness or submission.
Wow. So overcoming the ego and listening means what? Letting go of being right?
It means recognizing that truly listening doesn't diminish you. It's an act of strength, actually. Choosing connection and understanding over the temporary satisfaction of winning the point. It requires that humility we talked about earlier.
Choosing connection over winning. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we understand the why and the how, but making this a real lasting habit, that's the hard part. How does the source suggest we make active listening stick?
Yeah, habit formation is key. The advice is pretty standard but effective. Start small. Don't try to be the perfect listener in every single conversation tomorrow.
Like pick one thing.
Pick one thing. Maybe commit to using the paragraph technique just once a day. Or focus on not interrupting in your next meeting. Minimal action, repeated faithfully. That's how habits form.
Repetition, even when you don't feel motivated.
Especially then. Consistency builds the neural pathways. But the deeper shift, the guide suggests, is about identity. Instead of thinking, I should listen better, start consciously thinking, I'm the kind of person who listens attentively. I value understanding. Integrating it into your self-concept makes it less of a chore and more just who you are.
Shifting from doing listening to being a listener.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
And finally, always reconnect with your why. Why did you decide this was important? Was it for stronger relationships, better leadership, more peace? Remembering that purpose keeps it from becoming just a mechanical checklist. It keeps it a conscious commitment.
So active listening isn't just a communication tactic. It sounds like it changes your relationship with others, obviously, but maybe with yourself too.
That's a key takeaway from the final chapters. As you practice listening outwardly, you'll often become a better listener to your own internal state. Maybe less self-critical, more aware. It turns everyday conversations from just, exchanging data into real moments of human connection.
It really does seem like, in a world that feels increasingly noisy and polarized, where everyone is shouting to be heard, the choice to consciously, deliberately listen, that feels Well, almost revolutionary.
It is a quiet revolution, perhaps. The source frames it as this courageous act, choosing understanding over ego, connection over competition. It's a way to say you matter without raising your voice at all.
A powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the silent power of truly listening. We hope you take away something valuable, maybe even just the willingness to try holding that opportune silence for an extra beat today.